Welcome to the Viking Age podcast. My name is Schad. I write for the Viking Age as well as Zone Coverage, Bring Me the News, and the Brookings Register. My co-host is Adam Patrick, who is the managing editor of the Viking Age, and we do this every Monday and Thursday right here on the Viking Age YouTube channel. But if you miss us, we're available in podcast form on Apple and Spotify the very next day. But however you consume us, rate, comment, like, subscribe, so you never miss a new episode. Adam, we're going to do something different to start off today because like a certain media member in the Twin Cities market, I'm going to talk about my golf game. And this is, don't worry, I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, then I had a long shot. And then what happened? Well, then I did it. No. I am going to make this fun.
I honestly don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Badak, Kodak, and
I really don't know who you're talking about.
Some people will. I'll tell you off here.
Okay.
Whoa, you want to see my baby brother Peter's soccer game? And yeah, I don't like standing up and this team restore the roar. We come in me, boy.
Okay, maybe I might know now.
Anyway, I on the front nine yesterday shot the number of a certain Viking legend. Do you want to guess what Viking legend that was?
Adam Thielen.
I did not shoot a 19 on the front nine. That would have been incredible, but
no. Chris Carter.
You're close, but it's higher.
Randy Moss.
I shot an 84 on the front nine. It was a disaster. And I swear to God, I am not that bad typically.
Almost 10 shots per
yeah. Well, the first one I had a 12, then I had a 13. Oh my God. Some of my friends are like, I only take 8s. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I was curious. Yeah. I was curious to see how bad it was. And I was also playing a course for the first time. Like, I fired towards the wrong hole a couple of times. Like, I took a shot and I drove out to my ball and they're like, this is like hole 6, right? And I'm like, where are you trying to? I'm like, hole 3. I'm like, yeah, it's way over there. Good luck. And I'm like, God damn it.
I'm laughing, but I haven't played golf.
No. Like, it's totally fine. So. And like the other thing is, I know you saw Raw on Monday when Finn Balor was like listing all his injuries.
Yeah.
Like that's how I felt like after the first couple swings, like torn pec, torn bicep, broken shoulder socket or whatever it was. Just like, everything hurt, but I shot a 59 on the back nine. So some people would be like, that still sucks. And I'm like, dude, if I can crack 60 on the back nine, that's a good round for me. So I don't know, maybe next time. I also got saved because like on the last hole is right next to the driving range. And I like sliced it to the right, but it hit the nets and it like bounced into the fairway. It's like bumpers in bowling.
Like I used to be really good at golf when I was younger. Like
before you had kids.
No.
Like everybody else.
Well, like when I was a kid, like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, I would shoot in the 50s. I would shoot in the 50s. And then I was like, this is boring, so I'm not going to do it. But I could have been good. But
if you could have had a beer while you were doing that.
Right. No, I think I enjoyed a nice Dr. Pepper after a round back in those days. But yeah, I used to be good, and I just got bored with it because it's just too slow for me, I guess. But yeah, haven't played in a while, so I'm not gonna like criticize anyone playing golf because I would probably do just as bad. I am interested in. Do you guys have Top Golf out there?
We have something similar in Sioux Falls, but I know there's a Top Golf in Minneapolis for sure.
I think there's one. I want to say either there is one or there's gonna be one in San Diego, and I'm curious about that because it's like I like driving ranges, and that's just a different way to. No, there is a Top Golf in Minnesota because I know I've seen videos.
Yeah, I said there's one in Minneapolis. Yeah. I'm in South Dakota.
Yeah. I know. I was thinking in my head, but like I've seen because they've had like I want to say they had like a team get together or whatever there. I remember them posting videos and stuff of being at Top Golf. I think Thielen might have had like a charity thing there or something.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be surprising.
And then the Twins actually had their own like Top Golf thing at.
I did see that. And I did.
It's the most bombs they've seen all season.
I think I saw.
You know who else might? Oh, go ahead.
No. Go for it.
Yeah. Well, no, I was just going to transition here because you know who might have been playing golf while he was
Yeah,
away from
probably not.
OTAs is I don't think Justin Jefferson's a big golfer. He doesn't. I
Gamer.
think you may, yeah. And I mean, maybe if like they dragged him out to like a charity thing, he'd be like, "All right, I'll do it." But like, he's not like Adam Thielen. Like
Yeah, if
Adam
you pay,
Thielen's like a
if you pay him enough,
professional golfer.
yeah. If you pay him
Yeah.
enough, he'll do it.
Dude, the Tiger Ali thing. Americans will do anything for money. Maybe I'm going way too far into the wrestling memory banks, but great bit. Anyway, Justin Jefferson showed up to Vikings mini camp this week, which is basically
unlike Stephon
more OTAs. Yeah, I don't know, man. You know me. I'm a Stephon Diggs mark. Like, I do wonder what the hell he's mad about. Honestly,
it's something. It's not nothing.
I don't think it's a contract thing.
No, it's not. No. He's like he got an extension last summer. There's no way it's about money.
So like, does he want to fight? Does he think he should have been on Madden cover?
Well, they just got rid of their. They either got rid of or he left, but they're the wide receivers coach. They have a new one this year, and the guy who was their old receivers coach was, I think he worked with him when Diggs was at Maryland. So there's that connection there. So there might be something there, like, hey, why didn't you try and keep him there? So because he made me better and he made everyone else better. Like, what are you guys doing? So, and at times last year, even in the Bengals game, they weren't throwing to him.
Right.
And he's your best receiver. What are you doing? So
turning it over. That's what Josh Allen does.
Yeah. But we digress.
Yeah. The guy who was traded for Stephon Diggs in theory, or Stephon Diggs, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
He addressed a crowd of reporters. Like normally you have like your scrum, you have a couple of guys in there. This is like a throng of people, like, kind of like zombie type thing. Like, yeah, he had that aura, whatever. I seen it. Justin Jefferson said a lot of the stuff you would assume here. It's good to be back with the guys. We're back to football, all that stuff. Then he said he had a lot of stuff going on, which is why he didn't show up to OTAs. Probably most notably a contract thing, but they didn't really force me to come back too much. So it didn't seem like I was missing too much. He noted that he had some marketing and endorsement deals along with some off-season training. Kevin O'Connell seemed annoyed, but I guess there wasn't too much going on. And then finally, he got asked about the potential contract extension where he said, that's not really up to me to say. I'm here to play football. The money stuff just kind of comes with the job. ESPN's Kevin Seifert dropped a line this morning on how things are going. And he said that the Vikings would naturally like to lock Jefferson up for as long as possible, but a 3-year deal would give Jefferson a chance to do another one before he turns 27 years old. So all of this being said, because like there wasn't anything groundbreaking that Justin Jefferson said. So do you think it's more likely, because we both agree that a deal is going to get done, right? Like they're going to sign Justin Jefferson to something.
Probably when he gets to training camp first couple of days.
Yeah. That, I mean, traditionally that's kind of how the Vikings have done things. Does Justin Jefferson sign a Tyreek Hill plus contract? Because he got $520 million, $52.5 million guaranteed. Or does he do something like a bridge deal like DK Metcalf did, where it's 3 years, $72 million and $31 million guaranteed, so he can cash in a couple years? What do you think is the most likely outcome?
Probably whatever gives him the most amount of fully guaranteed money. If that's the 3-year deal, like Cousins likes to do, then he'll do that. And if it's a longer deal, then he'll do that. Because the people that represent him, his agents, I think he has like 3. So some of those guys have worked on deals for like Dak Prescott and Josh Allen, and those guys have signed 4 or 5-year extensions. They're not going for the shorter deals. So it's not like they're like Cousins' agent, who's strictly like they're all about the 3-year deals or the 2-year deals. Like they want those. So I think there's more of a chance that Jefferson with his agents will be able to sign a longer deal. But I think at the same time he would sign a deal where maybe after 3 years he's able to get out of it, or the Vikings are able to get out of it, instead of feeling like he's locked down, because you never know what could happen. They could get a new quarterback who's not that great, and Jefferson just wants to maybe play with Joe Burrow or something, or something like that. But with the thing with Jefferson, that might be different with other receivers. I believe every word that comes out of his mouth. Like
Yeah.
he's been genuine. He's never been a guy that, like, if he doesn't want to say something, he's not going to say it. But if he wants to say something, he's going to say it. And I truly believe him when people ask him about his contract. Like, he doesn't care. Like, he knows he's really good. He knows he's arguably the best receiver in the league. So he already knows he's going to get paid. So he's not going to sit there and be like, "Oh, I deserve this or I deserve that," because he already knows he's going to get paid. So he doesn't have to waste his time being like, you know, I'm not gonna be here until I get a new contract, because he knows it's coming. He knows the Vikings would be stupid not to give him an extension, so he's not gonna, you know, make a big deal about that. And I believe him with the endorsements thing and things like that. Like, yeah, he's he's young, he's exciting, he's got a great personality. He's, yeah, people who do marketing and stuff like that, he's like a dream for them. So yeah, he's gonna do a lot of that stuff and take advantage of that, especially because his right now endorsements might be actually more than what he's actually making with the Vikings. So he's going to take advantage of those opportunities no matter what. And then, like, training wise, he's been training down there in Miami like his whole career. So it's not like that's hurt his career, because he's been better and better every year. His relationship with Kirk Cousins isn't going to deteriorate. Cousins is still going to throw to him, 10 plus times a game, because he's Justin Jefferson. You'd be stupid not to. And then, yeah, he just and he didn't have like an incentive to be at OTA. Some guys have a workout bonus. Rookie contracts don't have those. So he had no incentive. He didn't lose anything. He didn't gain anything by being there. He knows the offense. It's a little different than last year, where, like, it was a new offense. He had to figure things out, where this year he knows his role. He knows what he has to do. So I had no problem with anything he said. And I think he did provide a little bit of relief, though, when they're like, I think somebody asked, like, "So are you planning to be at training camp?" And he kind of looked at him like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be there. Why would I not?" And so people are like, "Oh, okay. Like, what, you're not gonna hold out?" I'm like, "No, I'm gonna be at training camp." So yeah, I'm not worried at all about Justin Jefferson and his future with the Vikings right now.
No, I mean, I think Matthew Collar has mentioned this a couple of times. Like, the CBA is meant for rookie players to at least get a second contract with that team. Like,
Yeah.
it's very rare, unless the player is a bust, that if your player has any meaning whatsoever, you get a second. I mean, Garrett Bradbury got a second contract with the Vikings.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how the system works. I think it would be more beneficial to Justin Jefferson if he did the short-term deal at 3 years, 72, or, somewhere in that range, a 3 or 4 year extension. Like, you look at guys like Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams, who got those big contracts. That's their last big contract. Like, they are looking for as much security or perceived security as they can, which is why you see those 5-year deals. And really, those 5-year deals are more like 2 or 3 year deals, right? Because they have the funny money on the back. Like, with Jefferson, it's going to be a lot of guaranteed money. I think they're working on an injury guarantee right now. And I mean, if he balls out for 3 years, and like you said, he can see the direction this competitive rebuild is going that way. If, like, 2 years in, he's seeing, okay, the Vikings whiffed on a quarterback. They, everything else that they, Jordan Addison sucks, or
Kevin O'Connell gets fired.
Yeah, Kevin O'Connell gets fired for, gambling or something. Like,
I'm just because they're bad.
Yeah, or they're bad. Yeah. Or the Wells just like clean house. He'll be like, "Get me out of here."
Right.
Like, that works for him. As for the Vikings, I mean, if you do a 3-year extension, I don't think it's like big enough to like alter franchise. Like, oh, we're so screwed because we fully guaranteed Justin Jefferson for 3 seasons. I don't think he's getting a fully guaranteed deal, but
well, then you got to think Kirk Cousins is probably, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but probably coming off the books. So
correct.
Jefferson's going to be the highest paid player on that team for a while. And I was just thinking this, like, I've heard chatter about maybe Joe Burrow doing this where like he signs a deal where he gets a percentage of the salary cap? Could we see maybe Justin Jefferson doing this? Because we know the cap's going to rise because of TV deals and stuff over the next few years. Is that something
So
maybe they do instead?
so in theory, his salary wouldn't be determined until the salary cap comes out.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
Right. But you could risk
Hmm.
it. That would be a risk too, because what if, you have God forbid, have a COVID year and the
Yeah.
cap either stays the same or reduces, then you're like, oh, well, but thinking that's not going to happen again, that would
Yeah.
be it'd probably be smart for players, especially of his caliber, that are able to earn a giant amount to sign a contract where they get a percentage of the cap instead of a, a solid amount. Because every year you see guys are like, hey, this guy like got this much and now he's the highest paid. Why can't I get that? Like ever like so just to avoid that, that would be something to maybe keep in mind. But I don't know what they're planning to do or anything like that. So
I'm sure whatever they do, it'll have void years attached. That's just their thing. Is like
I
5
hope
void
not.
years. Let's throw more money
It's a
down the
3-year deal,
road.
but there's 7 void years.
Yay! We're paying just somebody's gonna get like the Bobby Bonilla deal in the NFL, and it's just gonna be awful. Where like Bobby Bonilla goes to his mailbox every June 1st, and there's a $1 million check
Yeah,
from
when
the
is that
Mets or
over?
whatever. Let me look here.
Like 2035? It's got to be.
That's the other like Ken Griffey Jr. and Ichiro both have deals like that too.
They do. Well, Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
Does he have anything like that?
Something. I don't know. I think the Giants have enough money where they're just paying him straight up. He will continue to receive an annual check from the Mets until 2035, the year he turns 72.
Also, don't the Mets have like a new billionaire owner? Can he just like pay off the rest of his deal now?
Yeah,
What's it
just
like 12
send
million?
him a check. Just like, how much do we owe you? So like, yeah.
Are they doing this? It is the Mets, so they might just be doing it just to be like, oh, it's our annual tradition. Pay. It's happy
They
Bobby
should just
Bonilla
bring him.
Day,
They should just bring him in every year just to throw the
right?
first pitch. Just
Yeah.
like, just have the big paper check.
It is
Like
weird because like
people who win like the clearinghouse or whatever.
they spent all this money on free agents and trading guys and stuff, but you can't just pay off Bobby Bonilla. Maybe that's part of the contract too. Like you can't pay him off early, so he does get that $1 million every year. So that like maybe he doesn't spend 12 million in a year just to kind of help him out.
Yeah, who knows? More contract fun. Kirk Cousins talked at OTAs, or excuse me, minicamp. I'm getting them all confused. They're all the same thing.
Technically, mini camps, OTAs.
Yes. Most notably, Cousins said he is waiting until March to negotiate a new contract. His exact quote, I think we'll probably talk about the contract next March. Until then, just focus on this season and the job to do right now. When he was pressed about it, if conversations were ongoing by Jug Zolgad of Score North, he said, I'm just going to work. Just seemed kind of annoyed by it. Are the Vikings playing a dangerous game by not extending Cousins, or is Cousins screwing himself here because he's going into the final year of his deal?
No. I think if you're going to pick one, I would say Cousins maybe screwing himself because, if he hits free agency, is he going to make as much money as he could with the Vikings? Who knows? He'd probably be like the top quarterback available in free agency, but are you really a top quarterback if you're 36, 37? Who's giving you a fully guaranteed deal? No one. So I think it would have been wise for him to maybe work something out with the Vikings this year if he truly wanted to stay. And I think he does. I think he likes Minnesota, and especially with Mike Zimmer not being there anymore. But yeah, I don't think the Vikings screwed themselves or anything because I think they've begun the process. It's pretty clear that they would like to move on from Kirk Cousins at some point within the next 1 or 2 years. I don't know if Jaron Hall is going to be his replacement. I would say unlikely, but
it's
it
not
could be
looking good right now.
Yeah, it's OTAs and minicamp. I'm really
true.
I'm not going to put a lot in any. Like I've seen some stuff where like Lewis Seen isn't starting, and I'm like,
and that's exactly why we're not having those conversations on this podcast because it's like
June. I don't, I don't care. People get hurt. He could get an opportunity. He could take advantage of it. Like they could be bringing him back slowly because
Jordan Taylor balled out during
yeah,
a
yeah,
mini camp once, and he was cut like before training camp.
like his ankle broke in half. I think they're trying to like maybe ease him back in too. They're not going to put him against here's even KJ Osborne. Like just let him ease his way back in. But as far as Cousins goes, I think it's wise of him though to be like, yeah, I'm just not going to worry about it until March. That, and I think Lamar Jackson did that too. Like he set a certain deadline. I think it might have been either during or before training camp where he was like, if we're not going to get it done, then that's it. I'm not going to talk about it during the season. That's over with. And I think that's good on Cousins. He can just focus on the task ahead, one game at a time, do all that blah blah blah. But it'll be interesting to see. Maybe is he going to be more motivated to play better because it's a contract year and he'll have a chip on his shoulder to prove like he deserves to stay or he deserves to get more money elsewhere. But it's going to be interesting because right now, and a lot of people have talked about this recently, bringing Cousins back for 2024 oddly seems like one of the best case scenarios for the Vikings next season because they don't. I mean, what else are they going to do? Like trade for Trey Lance? That's not a guaranteed success either. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
It reminds me of the James Franco meme where he's got the noose around his
First
neck,
time?
and hey, first time. Like
I posted that when the Bills fans were like complaining about Diggs. They're like, this is so immature of him. He needs to be there, and just posted that. Just like, oh, first time.
Yeah, this is like Kirk. Like
Yep.
he had what was it, 2 years with the franchise tag with the Commanders, and he
Yep.
just went and played football. Like this is probably nothing to him. He's probably
No.
like, all right, sure, I'll just renegotiate and like I think the oh shit scenario for the Vikings would be if Kirk had a Joe Flacco run to the Super Bowl. But looking at this team, I don't see that
Yeah.
happening. I don't see them getting close to the Super Bowl for being realistic. Now, give me a gallon of purple Kool-Aid, I might talk differently. But I mean, I don't think this is a good team. I take that back. I think this is a good team. I think it can win the NFC North. I don't think it can win a Super Bowl. And like, I would argue that Kirk kind of screwed himself over here because at some point you just got to take what you can get, right? I don't think his value is ever going to be higher than it is right now, knowing that the Vikings probably aren't winning the Super Bowl.
Right.
Like he's not going to have 8 fourth quarter comebacks. If he puts up 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns again, that's his expected level of production. Like if the Vikings win 7 to 9 games or even 10 games in 2023, like what's the difference between that and like what happened in 2020 and 2021? He had the same stats. The Vikings didn't go far in the playoffs and they got bounced again.
He was younger.
So yeah, and he was younger. So now, I think he still will be 36 next offseason, correct?
Right.
And he's going to hit the market, like you said, unless he wins the Super Bowl or like MVP. Hell, even gets the Vikings to the NFC Championship game, which I don't think they're getting there either. Like,
you never know.
Even if it's not guaranteed.
The odds
like,
are low.
Here's the thing, like with a fully guaranteed deal, like I know that's what he wants. That's what he prefers. And he said he took that. There's that report that he had a hometown discount, like 30 million guaranteed. Yeah, that doesn't really help us, man. To be honest with you. But what the Vikings could have done is if he does that kind of contract, he balls out, the Vikings can go, dude, you're awesome. Let's tear that up. Let's do something else because we want to lock you in. But yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it's just a weird situation. The Vikings are kind of playing with fire. Kirk's kind of playing with fire. I don't know how it's going to go, especially too when you look at the Viking schedule. Like Kirk's not facing an easy schedule. No. Like there are some tanks that Kirk's going to have to deal with this year where he didn't have to as much last year. Like even the Lions, that lovable, cuddly security blanket known as the Detroit Lions, are a lot better team now. So I don't know.
Might be on Hard Knocks again. I just saw that this morning that Hard Knocks talked to the Lions.
They might do Detroit again
because no one wants to do it. Like because the Jets. I think all the teams they can force, like the Jets, Saints, and a couple other teams, are like, no, we don't want to do it.
But they can force them to do it. So why
Right.
are they?
Right.
Yeah.
But then if I've always wondered that, like, they can force a team, but like then is a team going to give you like as little access as possible because they don't want you to be there?
A
So
minimum.
that might be a little. But I just looked up Kirk Cousins. I don't know if you're familiar with like over the caps valuation
Yeah.
numbers or whatever.
Those are awesome. I love
I
them.
just looked up his, and his is 34.3 million.
He's
Is that
making
going
35.
to give or take? I think it might be below 30 actually. What he's making right now. But is that going to go up after next season? Probably not.
If he balls out, maybe.
Yeah, but has
Like
he
I said,
ever?
your doomsday scenario is like the ultimate highest.
Like, what's he going to be? Rich?
You know,
He's going to have
yeah.
Rich Gannon season when Rich Gannon was like 38. Like
That's what Kirk Stands hope Kirk Cousins is. That he's Rich Gannon and like he'll just win MVP and
yeah, it's not going to happen. Sorry. Not really. But like, he's going to be Kirk Cousins. He's going to be top 10 guy. He's going to be consistent. You know what you're going to get out of him. He's going to be very accurate. But like, I don't see him. If at this point, if he hasn't reached a All Pro level, why are we going to think that he's going to do that now? Like, there's no reason to believe that. He play better last year under Kevin O'Connell? Yeah, I think so. Can he play better this year in the second year in the system? For sure. But is he going to go out and throw like 45 touchdowns and 7 interceptions and 5,000 yards? I don't think so.
Dante Culpepper numbers.
Yeah,
Dare
and
I say?
I don't even think he wants. I don't even think the Vikings want him to do that. They want to be probably more balanced than they were last year in terms of their running game being more efficient and things like that. So I don't even know if they want him to be like that. It's just very interesting because Kirk Cousins. I think it was kind of maybe like a rude awakening, kind of like what Dalvin Cook is currently going. Well, not currently, but will be going through, and we'll talk about that too. Where like, oh, you're not going to give me the deal that I want? Like you're not going to give it to me? And the Vikings are like, no.
Do you think he just showed up to the contract negotiation like Jim Harbaugh? Like,
it's like
just like, all right, where's the contract? Just got his pen out, just like, all right, we'll just sign this thing, we'll be done. Actually, Kirk, we're going
finally
to,
I can buy these fresh New Balances I have had my eye
these
on.
Air Monarchs have been just burning a hole in my pocket, man. Just new Air Monarchs just dropped. I can't even say it, but other Kirk Cousins news. The Netflix series Quarterback has a release date. It is July 13th. The series followed them 12th. I'm sorry. The series followed them through last season and captured a lot of content when mic'd up for every game. According to Cousins, he also said the fact they let them in says a lot about the organization's willingness to help, but it'll just be good to see how people respond to it. The hope was that people could get a little bit more of an inside look at what it's like, but you can only give them so much accents. And there was times where it's like, I would love to have you in this and that meeting, and it would paint a better picture of what it's like, but we're not going to let you in. This series came 1 year too late, I think, because if this was in 20 or maybe last year,
21,
chronicling that 2021 season and, just kind of, Kirk like sitting there and just like, Zim, man.
Well,
You gotta love him, right?
That Lions game when he went
The
up
Lions,
like, you like that?
Might come up for the Lions game, see what happens. As Zimmer's like, I will murder you in a back alley. Like something like that. I don't think he said anything like that, but like, you excited about this series anyway?
Yeah, I am. It's the dead of summer, like nothing is going to be going on football wise. So this will be like
it's Tiger King season, basically.
It is. I think maybe the top 100 players, whatever, will be out by then. Woohoo! But yeah, I think it's hilarious that the very first year that Mike Zimmer is gone, Kirk Cousins is doing this. Because you remember before he even got to the Vikings, he did that little documentary about getting his contract. And then his first year with the Vikings, he had the podcast. So he wants to do this kind of stuff. He wants to give people more access in his life and in the NFL. So this isn't surprising that he actually got involved. But yeah, I just remember like that podcast being shut down after a year. Kirk Cousins not really doing a whole lot of NFL film stuff while he was under Mike Zimmer. So it's not a coincidence that after Mike Zimmer left, Kirk Cousins is like, all right, let's get this show back in the row. But yeah, I'm a shit for sure. I think Kirk Cousins is gonna. I think he might come out of this like more likable. I think a lot of people outside of maybe the Vikings fan base look at him as like this goofy dude,
like Cam Jordan.
Yeah, who just sucks out on the field and doesn't know what he's doing. But I think he'll come off maybe more relatable and likable with this series. I'm not so sure about like Patrick Mahomes. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah.
His wife is in this too. Didn't see any clips of his brother. Not surprised about that. And Mariota is just an odd person in there. But I did see someone was like, well, they have like an elite quarterback, they have a above average quarterback, and they have a bottom tier quarterback in this. And I was like, all right, I guess I understand that view. I'm sure when they picked Mariota, he wasn't they weren't like, you're going to be our terrible quarterback for this series. So yeah, have fun.
We need shitty quarterback. Congratulations.
Yeah. So, but no, and it's put together by NFL Films. They always do good stuff. Netflix has had good documentaries as far as like their golf stuff and their F1 stuff. They've done well with that. But now I gotta get a Netflix subscription so I can watch this. But since it's work related, I could probably write it off. So
there you go. 1 month of Netflix, just right on the taxes.
Yeah,
as someone who forked out for Sunday Ticket, I know all about that thing.
You did.
I did. Well, I don't know. I mean, I always get into
just
that
the ticket. Just the ticket. No,
I got a Red Zone too. You get everything with it.
No, I mean, like, did you get YouTube TV and?
Oh, I have YouTube TV already.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, it was just super easy. It's like, you want to add this? I'm like, yep, Red Zone. And because I mean, you're paying, this is before the early bird special, so it was like significantly cheaper. But you know, you're paying 55 or whatever it is for Red Zone anyway, and then tack on. I mean, my problem is I don't exactly like, I watch Red Zone like everybody else, but I mean, I also have 2 other screens. And sometimes like there's just one game on one channel, or like, you know, the Packers suck, like, or like the Bears. It's like, well, that game sucks. Or I'm more interested in
another
game.
They only have like 2 4:00 games. And then so you have like,
you can have 2 screens and whatever. Late window Red Zone sucks. Honestly, like that Red Zone is only good during the early window because
the first month is probably fine. The late games because every team is playing.
But then like they only have like 2 or 3, and then Red Zone's like ahead, so it like just spoils everything. Or
after the bye starts, where it starts to get, it's like, well, why do I have Red Zone for 4:00 games? It should only be for 1:00 games. Why do I care that the Chargers,
Arizona is taking on Houston in a battle?
Another punt.
Yeah, another. What didn't they have something on The Simpsons where it was like punt zone? Like it's all the punts, like nothing but punts.
That wouldn't surprise me, but yeah, I'm not familiar with that one.
Well, the last thing on Kirk actually transitions to our final topic, which is Dalvin Cook. And this is what Kirk said. I just wanted to take time to, just acknowledge me. Sorry, reflex. Throw your ones up, baby. Acknowledge the respect I have for him as a player and a person, and the difference he's made for our team. His toughness, his consistency. I think he's been to 4 straight Pro Bowls, so says it all right there. Okay, fine. The next comment he makes, I'm excited to see where he goes. I'll always be pulling for him, and I kind of optimistically hope that we get him back. Who knows, but maybe there's an outside chance. What are we doing here? Because
I think this is
Last time,
innocent. Yeah.
everybody here knows Dalvin Cook was released because like the Vikings didn't want him around anymore. That is
Yeah.
pretty established. But
Yeah.
what's going on?
There's been nothing about like the Vikings possibly releasing him and bringing him back. Absolutely nothing. So this from Kirk is like, okay. But I think it was just innocent, just Kirk being like, I really like playing with him. I would love to have him back, kind of thing. And maybe it came out wrong. But yeah, I don't think Dalvin's coming back to.
Like if you're Alexander Madison, who I saw is now going to be, he's got this Gordon
Cornhole?
Bombay. So, yeah, he's doing the corn. I got an email about it.
Everybody did.
Oh, everybody got that email.
I talked to a few people, and we're all like, "What? What is he doing?"
They're just like, "Hey, come." First of all, it's called bags. Let's get that.
Okay.
Let's get that straight. But this, I'm just gonna call it bags from now on.
Wouldn't it be
like
bags in Minnesota?
It is bags.
Bags. Is that
bags?
How you say it up there?
No, play some bags.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's not like bullet. Boat or goat or whatever you want to say. I don't know. I mean, it's so weird. Like if I'm Alexander Madison, I'm going like, dude,
what the heck?
Like he's trying to do this whole Gordon Bombay star turn thing. Like they're doing the same thing with Alexander Madison that they're doing with Kirko. Like maybe they'll put a chain on Alexander Madison and pretend RB1, baby. Yeah. Alexander, he's got the shades and everything. And
well, you don't even think he's going to lead the team in rushing.
No, I think it'll be and we're talking about like, we don't want to read too much into training camp, but Kevin O'Connell didn't even mention Dwayne McBride by name in his press conference the other day. So
yeah, that's good. But you mentioned Gordon Bombay. Another side note from I watched the little Ducks documentary on ESPN. The guy who wrote the movie came up with that name because of the two gins that he was drinking at the time while he was making the name. So Gordon's and then Bombay gin. So yeah, that's where the name came from. That's what the guy who wrote the script said. I thought that was interesting. And then
what's your favorite Mighty Ducks movie, by the way?
2.
Oh yeah, it's definitely 2.
3
is batshit crazy is what it is,
and 3 is just like, we're over this.
It feels like it went in reverse because like they went from Pee Wee hockey tournament winners to Olympic champions to we can't beat out the varsity team.
Well, junior Olympics, so
yes,
wasn't full on Olympics.
So was Eden Hall's varsity team just like the actual Olympic team? Like they just
I don't know. But you had the Knuckle Puck, you had the Bash Brothers. Yeah, second one's best for sure.
The Bash. We could go on and on and on about D2. That movie's so great. But Dalvin Cook, let's get back on Dalvin Cook here because he was on the Rich Eisen show with Tom Pelissero filling in. Pelissero, obviously very connected. I was trying to think of the word. I blanked out. Connected with the Vikings. And the first question he asked was, hey man, how's the shoulder? Here's what Dalvin Cook said. A lot of people don't know that the last 3 years I've been playing with a torn labrum and it's been different. I feel good sometimes and then it accidentally pops out. I have to deal with it for a week and then put a brace on and come back to play. It's just like learning how to fall, learning how to gracefully hit. It's been different. A lot of people don't notice the backdrop on me going out and playing ball every Sunday with a brace on my shoulder, and it could possibly pop out. So a lot of people don't know that. I just want to be free now. Just go out there and turn it loose and just be Dalvin. I'm getting back to that point now. Cook went on to say that he's been playing with one arm for the past 4 seasons, says he's clear now outside of physical contact. Some of this checks out. Okay. Some of this, because it's probably why at times Dalvin Cook didn't wear a brace like the Detroit game. Remember that? He gets tackled, his shoulder pops out, he goes back, and he's just perfectly fine. We've seen that a couple of times over the last couple of years. It could also be why negotiations went down to the wire on his current most recent contract in 2020. Because remember, they struck that like the night before the opener against the Packers.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yep.
And I've said this before, if it was this big of a deal, why didn't it get fixed after it happened. Or at least 2021 going into that season, my shoulder's really bothering me. Let's get this patched up. Like, why didn't so maybe he felt good after that season? Like, that is the biggest thing to me. It's like, okay, now we're doing all this, and I don't know if it's just to justify cashing in on that $2 million injury guarantee or what, but it seems fishy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like how he said people didn't really notice. Oh, we didn't notice you coming out of every other game after 10 carries because you hurt yourself?
Or running directly out of bounds with a wide open field.
We noticed. We noticed that your shoulder hurt every week. What does this have more to do with Dalvin's decision to not get surgery, or because we know the Vikings training staff before, a little shady?
Yeah.
They got rid of Eric Sugarman for a reason. Did they play a part in being like, oh, you're fine, just do some rehab, you don't need surgery, and then every year it becomes a problem? Or then maybe they're like, here, just have a cortisone shot in your shoulder, you'll be good to go. So did the Vikings old training staff contribute more to this, or was it more of Dalvin's doing, maybe his camp doing, and being like, no, let's just wait it out and see if we can get some of these injury bonuses or whatever that we can accumulate. It's just odd. Like, don't saying that it's been bothering you for 3 or 4 years.
It's a weird look.
You've had access to surgery, and especially before last season with a new coaching staff. You don't think they wanted you to be on the team? They weren't like, we're going to get rid of Dalvin Cook. You could have got it last year.
Right.
Like, it's just very weird. I was playing with one arm, and it's like, no, you weren't. First off, that would have been very obvious. It's a very odd position to take when you need a new team. Why are you talking about your shoulder that has bothered you for multiple years? What team is going to be like, oh yeah, we should definitely give this guy lots of money because he's had shoulder problems for like a handful of years. He had shoulder problems in college. This isn't a new thing either. Like, why are you talking about this? It's not helping you.
It's almost like when you go to the used car lot and they're like, yeah, this running back's got or this car's got like 200,000 miles on it, but we replaced the stereo or something. Like,
got a new oil filter.
Yeah, it's got a fresh oil change or something like that.
New wipers.
I do like what you said about the Vikings old training staff, because that definitely could have played a part into this. They probably could have just said, because remember in 2021 too, I think it was like the most recent one. Like, I can't remember who he got hurt against. Maybe it was San Francisco.
The Seahawks?
I want to say something like that. But then like the Pittsburgh game was like on a short week, and they're like, yeah, everybody's like, yeah, there's no way. And then all of a sudden, like 3 hours before kickoff, I'm like, he's suiting up with a brace. And he's like, what? And he wound up running.
Oh, it was the Niners. It was the Niners, because remember,
it was the Niners game, and then 11 days later he goes was it that week?
He got carted off, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, he's done for the year." And it was like, he's back.
And then he comes back against the Pittsburgh in the Pittsburgh game and just runs wild, because they were like,
he needed a cart
the size of a truck.
He needed a cart to get off, but he's fine the next week. Yeah, that was odd.
Yeah, it's such a weird situation. Like, I'm all for running backs getting all the money right now, because they, like I said, if I were a running back, I would sue PFF for defamation. Like, honestly, that's been it. Like, well, you could just get Isaiah Pacheco. Look, Isaiah Pacheco right here. Isn't he precious? Like, whatever. And like, the Vikings are doing it. Dwayne McBride. Well, actually, they're not doing the Dwayne McBride.
No, it's minicamp.
We'll see what happens there.
Because Cam Dancer had a training camp of his life, and that allowed him to stay on the Vikings for 3 or 4 years. So
3 or 4 years too late. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what McBride can do.
It also falls under the backdrop, and I've said this before, of that 2021 team that was literally every man for himself. And that's why Kevin O'Connell was brought in, to galvanize and unite this team. And I mean, you still see glimpses of it. Like in 2021, you had Schad doing his thing. You had Patrick Peterson trying to promote his podcast. You had, there's a lot of other things. You had Kirk trying to get that money You know what I mean? And like for a while there,
Chris
last year,
Boyd.
because of that, who?
Chris Boyd.
Chris Boyd. Yes. Like you had a lot of parts pulling in different directions there. And last year, when they won all those games, it kind of galvanized them, and that's helped them win 13 games. But at the same time, like there were still little things that showed up, like the Lambeau Field cleats thing. Like nobody wanted to wear the cleats because they couldn't get their cool designs or whatever on there. They didn't
like the way they looked. Yeah.
Yeah. Then, you know, how many people refused to take pay cuts this offseason to stay with the Vikings? Like it was a lot of guys trying to get themselves. And again, NFL players should get every penny they can because they're basically voluntarily throwing themselves into a brick wall, for like 8 months out of the year. Like they should get all the money they can. But it just felt like with the Vikings, there were a lot of guys who were for themselves as opposed to the betterment of the team.
They're all gone.
And they're all gone now. And that's where we're at with this team. Is Kevin O'Connell's, he instilled his culture into an old group. Now he's going to instill his culture from the ground up.
It was kind of a way to like, you put your culture in and you see like who's willing to adapt to it and adjust to it. And the guys that aren't, okay. All right. See you later. We can find somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's basically it. So
see ya. Bye.
Dalvin was part of that. Oh, by the way, Pelissero actually, I can't talk again, also asked about his next contract. And he said, I want the value. I want somebody that wants me to be there and wants to give me the ball. Vikings gave Dalvin Cook the ball a lot more than anybody else on the field. But I mean, I'm just saying, I want to go to the right situation where I can just go help somebody win. If you play good, they're going to pay you. I just want to go somewhere. I feel like it helps me to go somewhere and just go be me.
If he wanted that, why didn't he try and get out of his deal before free agency?
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing this in June? Who needs a number one running back in June?
Well, he also has $2 million in his pocket now.
Correct. But he would have made a lot more if he
got
out of his deal.
Yeah, teams aren't really running to go offer him a $10 million contract, which is what I think he's seeking right now.
That's the report that he wants.
The Giants won't even pay Saquon Barkley right now. And Jonathan Taylor's up there in Indianapolis going like,
and Josh Jacobs.
Man. Yeah.
They're all in the same boat. Leonard Fournette's a free agent. Kareem Hunt's a free agent. Like all those guys came out around the same year. Alvin Kamara is getting suspended or whatever. He'll probably be off the Saints soon too. I think there was chatter that the Bengals wanted to move on from Joe Mixon, but that never happened either. Probably next year.
Well, they did what the Vikings did. And they're just like, well, we can't find anybody. You might as well just keep them. It's not like
they don't have to worry about paying Jamar Chase until next year either. So that's probably what they're waiting for. But yeah, like what? Once again, read the room. Like you're not gonna get that money. Like there's reports like he wants to get paid around the same that he was going to get paid from the Vikings, which is around like a little over $10 million. You're not going to get that. Maybe you'll get like $6 million with incentives. I would be shocked if someone gave him like $8 million for a year. That seems very high.
I'm super interested to see how this plays out long term. Yeah. I think I mentioned it in the last episode, but like it's almost you're going to see things like, you know, when black quarterbacks were a new thing and like everybody wanted to put them at like wide receiver and safety and stuff, and they would go to a different school. Yeah. Like they would just go to a different school, be like, no, I'm better here. Like there are going to be some players that are just they're going to go to these places and get recruited. Like, well, we're thinking about using you as a running back. Like, actually, I'm going to go play receiver over here because I want to make a lot more money if I go to the next level, as opposed to being a running back here. Like, I think you'll see that. And I think, I think players are going to resist playing running back. Like, even, if this whole positionless football thing continues, people aren't going to want to be in the backfield because they're going to feel like it decreases their value. So
we could see more stuff like with Deebo Samuel, like with Cordero Patterson, where guys are they're playing multiple positions, and you don't really have a running back who just plays running back. You could have him, return punts, return kicks, be a receiver, be a running back, like just add more value to him, so that they can get paid more. But and then I was curious too, like things seem to always it's always like the NFL kind of goes in a circle where like things come in trend and then they fade away and then they come back. So like maybe further down the road we see teams like there's going to be some team like defenses are getting smaller, so there's going to be some team that's like, all right, let's just build everyone up and just run the ball down their throat. There's going to be probably a team like that in the future that does that. So maybe they'll come back full circle and running backs will become more important. But right now, yeah, it's not. If you're not running back in the NFL, it's not. Unless you're Christian McCaffrey, who gets traded for, it's not a good
You're
life.
not supposed to mention that.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to mention that. All hail.
Yeah, it's not
offensive genius
not a
Kyle
good.
Shanahan.
Yeah, so the Dalvin thing is certainly interesting to me because I don't even, I know he wants to play for the Dolphins too, and I don't even think they're like, yeah, we're not going to give you $10 million. Like we have 4. We just drafted a running back. We signed all our running backs to come back. We're not desperate. We don't like even the Broncos who are rumored to be interested in him. They're not going to give him $10 million either. Like Sean Payton's not going to give $10 million to, or George Payton in the front office. He knows Dalvin Cook.
Yeah,
he's not giving him $10 million. No. So I wrote yesterday like Dalvin's likely in for a rude awakening, and his agent as well, because I think he's a driving force behind what Dalvin wants. Just like getting as much money as possible. I think it's not going to happen. So
well, with the on-field stuff wrapping up,
and he still has the off-field stuff. We didn't even mention that.
Oh, no. I was talking about OTAs and stuff, but yeah, you're right. He does have that.
That's gonna
thing
that's starting.
still
That'll be
there.
starting up soon, like the whatever if they have a trial or figuring that out. So he still has that cloud over his head.
Well, we made it through OTAs. That's the main thing. We made it through OTAs. Now
Super Bowl.
Now we just need 4 months or 4 weeks or 6 weeks, however long
4 or 5
of content to get us to training camp.
Yeah, we'll be looking back.
Just don't get arrested. Number one rule of this period. Just whatever you do, don't get arrested.
Go play. I think Jefferson talked about like how he likes to play video games a lot, and I'm like, just do that. Just do that for like 5 weeks. Just play
and train.
Yep.
Don't strictly do video games like Kyler Murray. Just train and.
Oh yeah, I trust him a little bit more than Kyler.
Yeah.
Just a little.
Do your training. Do your video games.
He said he plays Madden, so like that's kind of educating yourself at the same time while you're playing games. So,
but that is all the time we have for the Viking Age podcast today. We do this every Monday and Thursday right here on the Viking Age YouTube channel. We're also in podcast form the very next day on Apple and Spotify. However you catch up, make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe so you never miss a new episode. For Adam Patrick, I am Chris Schad. We'll catch you next time on the Viking Age podcast.